Okay, so we have already seen what the next generation Galaxies will look like. The S24, S24 Plus and the S24 Ultra. They will all have quite a big design upgrades. The Ultra model will actually have the same size display, same refresh rate, same everything as the current model. It's just the fact that it will be much more brighter than the latest model. It's gonna have 2500 nits of peak brightness display. That's about 750 nits more than the 1750 nits of the current model, or even the S22 Ultra for that matter. Now, other than that, the S24 Ultra screen, as we have already discussed, it's gonna be flatter. The interactive part of the display is gonna be flatter, only the bezels will be slightly curved. So we are slowly but surely getting there. On the other hand, the standard models will have totally flat sides, but these two devices will have totally flat screens and very thin bezels all around. Yet these two devices are also getting the same kind of upgrade in the peak brightness, 2500 nits. Now, we've already heard that there are going to be camera sensor changes in the Galaxy S24 Ultra. You can check out my recent video on that if you want a deeper look into it. But here I'm going to tell you something really important about these two devices, the S24 Plus and the S24. These two devices are actually expected to come with Exynos 2400 in European countries and in certain other markets. But the Ultra model will actually going to be exclusively powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy variant is expected to have a higher clock speed than the standard variant, just like the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. It will have 4 Cortex-A520 cores running at 2.27 GHz and 2 Cortex-A720 cores are running at 2.26 GHz, while there are going to be 3 more Cortex-A720 cores running at 3.15 GHz instead of 2.96 GHz of the base model, the base Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and the single high-performance core, the Cortex-X4 core, will run at 3.3 GHz instead of 3.19 of the standard base Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Now, these figures can also get changed over time, like the final variant might have slightly higher or slightly lower clock speed, but overall this is going to be very much like this. Whereas the Exynos 2400 will have a deca-core chipset. It will have the same CPU cores, but they will again be differentiated into 2 different categories, like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, instead of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. The Exynos, though, according to Ice Universe, will have the X4 core running at 3.19 GHz, 2 A780 cores will run at 2.9 GHz, another 3 A780 cores in a group will run at 2.6 GHz, and there are going to be 4 Cortex-A520 cores running at 1.95 GHz. So it's not exactly totally different from the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy, but it is quite a bit different. Now, definitely, the GPU is definitely going to be different. It's the Xclipse 940 GPU, double the GPU cores of the Exynos 2200's Xclipse 920. That will come with a new Adreno GPU. Yeah, definitely there are going to be upgrades, but it's all about the sustained performance. Now, Samsung has officially unveiled the Exynos 2400 chip recently, and they said that the CPU performance is about 70% better than the last Exynos model, the Exynos 2200. Even the AI performance number is even getting higher, 14.7% better than the Exynos 2200. But you have to keep in mind, this is not a year-over-year upgrade. In this case, the Exynos 2200 is about 2 years old at this point. So this is literally 2 years worth of improvements, and then the capabilities are being compared with the Exynos 2200. So yeah, don't fall for the marketings. So many of you might also think that how the Exynos 2400 will actually stack up against the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chipset, at least in the peak performance department, if not the sustained performance one. Because sustained performance is something that we can only measure when we have the devices on our hands, otherwise no. So peak performance wise, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy powered S24 Ultra performs 2234 points in the single core test and 6807 points in the multi-core test. Mind you, this is a US variant of the S24 Ultra. The next one is actually of another phone, but it is also a Galaxy phone. It's the Galaxy S24 Plus. So it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it will give you a good idea. The S24 Plus with Exynos 2400 scored 2067 points in the single core test and 6520 points in the multi-core test. So basically, it's lower than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chipset, even in the single core test or also in the multi-core test, but by not that much. Still a big upgrade. But then again, most of the tasks that you can do on a phone at this point, most of the chips that are currently available in the market are also enough. But having a good headroom for the future is always good. But we are here talking about the peak performance here though. But sustained performance is a big deal for most of us. Now, anyway, other than that, there are many other upgrades like There is a rumor, but take it with a pinch of salt at this point. The Samsung's whole lineup, the S24 lineup, will come with titanium frame. But I think it's gonna be reserved for the Ultra model. But if it comes to the cheaper models too, I mean, they are not cheap by the way, but the standard models too, it's gonna be awesome for sure. But we don't really have any idea about the S24 and S24 Plus's camera sensor upgrades, but we know that the S24 Ultra will get some major improvements. Not in the main camera department though. There is one good improvement, but not that is related to the 200 megapixel camera. But I will tell you in a minute. The 200 megapixel camera is going to be the newer one. It's slightly more optimized variant of the Samsung's own ISOCELL HP2 sensor. But there is going to be a 50 megapixel 5x camera instead of a 10 megapixel 10x camera. Now that might sound really bad, but it's actually going to do sensor crop to create a lossless 12 megapixel 10x photo. That is on paper can produce much more sharper photos than even the current models with a dedicated 10x 10 megapixel camera can produce. So that's a good thing. But what about the 100x zoom? Well, it's possible. If they use a 10 megapixel 10x camera to do a 100x zoom digitally, so then it's very much possible to do the same thing with a 12 megapixel 10x photo because they are doing the AI to upscale it. Another thing is that according to Ice Universe, the Samsung's S24 Ultra will be using so much of AI that some people might just call it an AI phone. Means Samsung will use AI a lot in the camera department. Now, if you're really worried about the 200 megapixel camera shutter lag, then there is a good news. Samsung saying that it will actually use AI for its Zoom Anyplace technology to enable user to take up to 4x close-ups of moving objects without any image degradation at all. So the Zoom Anyplace will actually use AI tracking to follow and capture objects while simultaneously making full screen recording, so no moments or detail is left uncaptured. I mean, that's Samsung words. So it might also use screen recording and then it will just merge the photos together to create a much upscaled photo without any loss in the details. Another interesting thing is that Samsung is also creating some 1-inch sensors named HW1 and HW2. And both of them are 432 megapixel camera. One is 1/1.05 inch and the other one is actually 1/1.07 inch. Both of them also has like 0.5 micrometer size pixels, so it's a crazy big sensor with so much of resolution. But don't expect that camera to come anytime soon to Galaxy Ultra models. But we can always hope for like Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, maybe 27 Ultra, maybe. And I'm saying this because there is also a new 200 megapixel camera with 0.6 micrometer size pixels and named as HP7. So that's why the 400 megapixel camera might come to somewhere in the future, maybe with the S27 Ultra. But we are talking too much about the future. But that's a Samsung fan inside me is hoping. Anyway, that's probably it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think gonna happen with the S27? Like, we are gonna get 400 megapixel camera on that? And yes, if you want, you can get some crazy cool wallpapers up on my website. A link down below. Until the next one, bye and take care.